Hello and welcome back to the channel. Today I'm going to try and answer a question. Can you use canned or bottled beer on the PINT365 hand pump? That's right, today we're going to try and work out something, to be honest. Well, actually, I already know the answer. The answer is yes. Really what we're trying to answer is, should you? I've figured out a way to get basically any liquid through the pump system, but this is going to be the first time where I actually try it out with beer that's not kind of purposely kegged in a way for use on this system. There are scenarios, I guess, for this, although they might be a bit rare. I mean, my main issue with the PINT365 is I love using it, but you can't really buy it volumes of beer that are necessarily suited to just kind of 1 or 2 sessions kind of over a weekend with this thing. It's typically 10 or 20 litre bags, which is just, if you're doing it just for yourself, it's a bit too much. I've not used it maybe as much as I would have liked to. However, I've worked something out. And this is how. So, this is a fermenting bucket. I bought this to do some home brewing. I'll put a link below to where I got it from. I got it from Get It Brewed. But there are lots of different options that will work. And the thing we're really interested in is actually just the tap. This tap has an ever so slightly tapered width to it. So it's slightly thicker at the top end than it is at the bottom, which means it does, at the top end, fit the normal John Guest fitting connector for the PINT365. So what we're going to do, I've already cleaned this out, I'm going to hook it up and then we're going to pour beer into here and then in theory pour through. Now the reason this works is because of the airlock in the top. Air is allowed to come in but not load, so in theory the air shouldn't affect the beer too quickly, especially if you were to fill it, but that would be 10 litres then, that would be kind of redundant. But the other perk of this is, of course, you can keep your bottles in the fridge until you're ready to use them and then pull them in one at a time before you want to use the pump. I don't know if this is a good idea or not, but we're going to find out right now. So what I'm going to do as a control is I'm going to pour half of one of these into a glass and set it aside so we can kind of contrast and compare. And the other 2.5 bottles are going to end up in here and just, yeah, let's see what happens. So firstly, the control. I'm using 3 bottles of regular Hobgoblin today. I had these left over from my Halloween live, and as much as I do like this beer, I've got so much kind of different stuff to drink that, well, I'm not really sure when I was ever going to get through it. So, control pour there, we'll leave that out. And then I think the key to this is going to be getting the beer in here somewhat undisturbed, slow pours, try and get the bottle right in there so it's not kind of splashing around. Now, of course, you don't require a specialist bucket to do this. What you really need is just any plastic device or non-plastic device with a tap that fits. Now, there are plenty of taps available that I think will work, and I'll link some of those below as well. So you could, in theory, adapt something you already had very cheaply. So, first one going in. Let's lie this down. And I think the tip here is going to be, given I'm not using a lot, is to lie it down and gently, you can see there, pour into the base. A cleverer person than myself would have opened the other 2 bottles before balancing this precariously with beer in, but I think we're okay. So let me get the lids off those real quick. Carefully does it. Not really any great foaming in there at the minute, so I think we're doing okay so far. Okay, we have 3 bottles in, and now carefully lift it up. And I'm going to pop the top back on just so nothing gets in there for now. Now you may be wondering why I used 3-ish bottles, nearly 3 bottles. The reason is we need to really have the water level, or the beer level, above the tap so it can drain out. Now, I'm probably going to have to lean this because it has just occurred to me it's still not quite that much. So there are some potential issues here, I appreciate, but this is more of a proof of concept, not necessarily the most ideal way to do it. So, let's get it hooked up and pour a pint. Here is the regular John Guest fitting you get on the PINT365, and this should just push onto that tap and doesn't come free without properly releasing. So we'll open the tap up, and I'm going to put this just over here. For this test I'm using two Witchwood glasses, the Hobgoblin one for the main pour and then obviously the Witchwood one for the test, so in theory they should be very comparable. So yeah, let's get pouring a pint. So we've ended up with 8 pints. It's got quite a lot of head on it, but I mean, beer in bottles tend to be a bit more carbonated than what you get in kind of a keg or cask. And I mean, the clarity on that beer actually looks fantastic. It's not hazed it up or anything going through the machine, which is nice. The head's a bit much at the moment, but we'll top it back up in a second. Now, I mean, there's a huge difference. I know the control has been poured for a few minutes at this point, but it does look better, it has to be said. So while the head settles down on the one we've just poured, I'll take a test of the test, if you like, and see how this goes. Let's swill it up a little bit just to rejuvenate it, and smells like Hobgoblin, as it probably should. Cheers. No real surprise, a little bit overcarbonated as it always is in a bottle. Not much conditioning on it, but hey, it's fine, it's fine. And then the one we just poured, I'm not sure if it's just being masked by the head, but the aroma is much more subtle now on this, it has to be said. Visually, there's not a lot between them. I'd actually say that this one is ever so slightly lighter for some reason. But let's give it a go anyway. That head does look great. Cheers. That's different. That is really different. It's taken a lot of the carbonation out. That's better. It's silkier. It's just a boatload smoother. It is slightly undercarbonated, is what I'd say. So maybe, I mean, I did use a sparkler on the pump, so maybe that's something to do with it. We could experiment with a few different bits. Maybe half and half, weirdly, is the best option, but I don't think we should start trying that now. Been mixing too many Hobgoblin with different things recently. But oh. Yeah, the PINT365 pour for me is preferable. It's a little bit flat, as I say, but the conditioning on the beer is a lot better, and it's smoother. It's more, brings out some of the higher notes in the beer, if you like. It's much less, I don't know, Hobgoblin in a bottle sometimes a little bit aggressive. I always kind of put it down to the fact that it's 5.2 in the bottle and it's only 4.8 or something on tap normally. But this actually tastes a lot more like it does on tap, which I know seems obvious because it's on a tap, but instinctively they are slightly different beers with a different ABV strength, and well, this really allows you to have it at home. I'm surprised by that. I didn't think the gap would be that massive. I thought it might be, I don't know, slightly less carbonated, but all in all not kind of really worth doing. But actually, no, I'm going to do that again. So there we have it. Hobgoblin at least does definitely work being pumped through the PINT365 system. Are there any other beers you'd like me to try doing this with to see if it's actually worth a go? I appreciate there's a little bit of faff involved, but then, well, there's a little bit of faff involved in making sure you've got a beer on and chilled and trying to chill one of them big things. So I don't really see it as any less inconvenient than this tap can be anyway. So yeah, it's a win for me, I have to say. Right then, I think we'll leave it there. I mean, as you can see now, they've both been sat out for a while, and which one do you want to drink? It's not difficult. This is just way more appealing in the glass. Right then, I'm off to go and enjoy another pint. But as always, thank you very much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please like it if you haven't already subscribed, if you will be so kind, and I'll catch you next time. Cheers.